Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the channel. My name is TommyLew. I hope you're well, I hope you're happy, and of course, I hope you're loving life. Today, I'm bringing you a crazy new idea in a little video that I really hope you enjoy. It's a video that absolutely no one asked for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. What if the Avengers were gym leaders? Now, the Pokemon world is really interesting. I myself am very interested in it. And the Avengers is another very popular world and universe even that people love and enjoy. And I thought, what would happen if you meshed the two together? People love to mesh things, combine things that shouldn't be combined. However, I think this is going to be an incredible blend and make for an interesting video. When you run through a Pokemon game, or just Pokemon in general, every region has 8 gym leaders. So, I have taken 8 of the Avengers, built them teams, and reimagined them as if they were gym leaders. Please note that I've only given 5 Pokemon to each gym leader, because when you play through the games, I'm doing it as if it was a game. And when you play the games, gym leaders only ever have up to 5 Pokemon. I don't think there's ever been a case where they've had 6, unless you're in the remakes of Gen 2, or even Gen 2. The point is, they typically only have 5 Pokemon anyway, so that is what I have gone with. That also leaves room for one more Pokemon. I want you to write in the comments what you think that 6th and final team member would be. And of course, I'm sure that you're going to think that I got some of these horribly wrong, and you're going to want them changed anyway. You can leave those in the comments below too. And I'm saying that because really, and I know some of these are far better than others. So of course, if you like this idea, if you like the concept, be sure to hit a like on the video. It's really going to help it out, and it's really going to help me, the channel, out. And if you like me, the idea of what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe for even more stuff like this. But anyway, I'm going to stop beating around the bush. Let's get into it. First up on the list of if Avengers were gym leaders is Thor. I drafted Thor as an electric flying type gym leader. I believe these typings make the most sense for him, considering he's the god of thunder and, well, he can fly, pretty much. Now, for his team. Due to the typing, I've drafted in Pokemon like Emolga and Rotom Fan. There aren't many electric flying types in the game, but I figured the 2 base ones that I could think of, I had to throw them in there. I also opted to give him a Heliolisk. Heliolisk, I've always just quite liked his design, and I could imagine one standing next to Thor. Now, here is his thematic Pokemon. As much as I would try and correlate with the typings, I wanted to give each trainer a theme Pokemon as well. And for Thor, this is Dragonite. Why Dragonite? Well, of course, Thor is from Norse mythology, and Dragonite looks kind of a mythic beast. After all, it is a dragon. It can fly too. And, of course, it can learn Thunderbolt, so I figured that fits quite well. And finally, probably the most controversial addition would be his ace, Thundurus. Now, no other Avenger would have a legendary or even a mythic type Pokemon. However, I just couldn't think of a Pokemon that suited Thor better than Thundurus. I know in a base game, they would never have this type of Pokemon, but in reality, if Thor was a gym leader or was a Pokemon trainer, there is no way he wouldn't have a Thundurus. I mean, Thundurus is essentially Thor. They're like the embodiment of each other. So, for that reason, I couldn't ignore that, and Thundurus makes the team. As always, like I said at the beginning, this is only 5 members. It's as if we were playing the game. Remember, you can leave your 6th member down below. Moving on. The Hulk. Now, who doesn't love a bit of the Hulk? The Hulk likes to smash, and we like to watch things be smashed. I've given Hulk a pure fighting type. I considered giving him a poison typing due to the radioactive nature of his condition, or superpower, I should say. However, he doesn't really have any poison abilities, so I decided to keep him pure fighting. However, his theme, which is a bit more concurrent than others, are just big Pokemon. So, for Hulk's team, I have gone for a Hariyama, a Conkeldurr, a Machamp, a Tyranitar, and finally, a Swampert, but more specifically a Mega Swampert. Again, this is the only gym leader on the list that I have given a Mega to, but if you look at a Mega Swampert, there are certain visual ties to the Hulk. I mean, he is just huge, brimming with muscle, and the thing just looks like it wants to crush the world. Machamp, Hariyama, and Conkeldurr are all beastly, ripped, buff, pure fighting types. Those were the easiest additions. Tyranitar, it's a Godzilla-like mon. It's big and it's green. That's why it made the team. But even so, I still think it works quite well. You could imagine a Tyranitar stood next to a Hulk. And again, my Mega Swampert reasoning, I think that will make for some interesting typing in the actual games. It would certainly be a tough gym battle to go into. And yes, of course, those are the 5 I have selected for the Hulk. Again, let me know what you think down below. Next up, Spider-Man. Spider-Man was easy to type. Bug poison. After all, he's based off of a spider. You could argue there's some form of electricity or steel in there due to the Iron Man suit and his links to Tony Stark, but maybe you'll see those links in the team selection. First up, Orbeetle. I overlooked Orbeetle at first. However, looking back, and I know Orbeetle is a ladybug, but the color scheme of the Orbeetle works so well to go with our Spider-Man. Even the kind of hatching on its wings. Again, I know it's a ladybug, but it does almost look like the spider web pattern he has on his overall suit. It also has a kind of mechanical look about it. Next up is a Scizor. I considered putting Scizor on another person team. However, I just think it works. It looks a bit like Spider-Man, it's got the bug typing, and it has that element of steel that I did want to include for Spider-Man somewhere. Araquanid, again, another bug Pokemon that's based off of a spider. In fact, there were 3 that came to mind, and the next 2 are also spider-like Pokemon that had to be included in my opinion. So following on from Araquanid is Ariados. Not the best Pokemon you'll ever find, but you can't make Spider-Man a gym leader and not give him an Ariados. And finally, Spider-Man's ace, my opinion would be Galvantula. It's not bug poison, but it's bug electric, and in my opinion, it's a better Pokemon than Ariados, and I would have liked to seen that as the ace Pokemon, as I think it would be harder to take down, or at least harder hitting. And we're well aware that Spider-Man gets some electrical abilities in his suit, as the films have progressed. Next up, AntMan. Maybe you didn't expect to see AntMan so soon, but I've always been a big fan of AntMan, and I actually found his team very fun to create. I gave AntMan a pure bug typing. Again, bug, it was simple to me, he's an ant. Ant is a bug, there you go. The team I came up for AntMan. First one would be Parasect. Now, I personally hate Parasect as a Pokemon, and I think it's just terrible in every single way. However, the whole idea of a Parasect is it's a fungus that infects small insects like ants. So as much as it would probably want to attack AntMan, I feel like as AntMan can control those things, a Parasect fits on his team rather well. Next up is a Selgor, pure bug typing, very fast and ninja-like. I thought fit a bug Avenger really quite well, especially in the form of AntMan, and it's pretty small. Next up, Armaldo. I really enjoyed this edition. Armaldo is a fun Pokemon as a bug rock type, one of the Gen 3 fossils. I suppose you could correlate it to when AntMan goes into his big form. That's kind of like Armaldo in a sense. So I really like the way that fits together. And again, when you're considering the team and putting a team together, having that rock typing on his team, that makes something pretty interesting to counter any opponents who come in with flying types. Next up is Heracross. I don't need to say much about Heracross. Heracross is a great mon. Its design is cool. It hits hard, it covers a fighting type. AntMan actually has some really good coverage, and some really good mons, I have to say. Which leaves his ace, which is of course, a Durant. It's an ant, with steel typing. It's an ant in body armor. I mean, there is no other Pokemon more fitting on this team than Durant. And it's also a pretty good mon too. Of course, if anyone brings a fire type Pokemon to the battle, then Durant's absolutely toast, along with Parasect. However, it's very quick, and we'll probably get a nice hard hit off early on. Next up, Black Widow and Hawkeye. I had a lot of fun creating this as well. I drew inspiration from Tate and Liza from Gen 3. The only dual gym leaders where you're into a double battle. There might be one in the later game that I can't remember, but even so, those are the ones I'm thinking of. Also, I wasn't sure whether to give these guys 6 Pokemon, as of course it's kind of 3 and 3, but I gave them 5 like the others, as I did like the element of the audience interaction where you guys can vote for the 6th member that you think would work really well. Their typing? Normal. Is it boring? Yes. Does it make sense? Also yes. They don't have any actual superpowers. They're just humans that are very good at what they do. Hawkeye is accurate with a bow, and Black Widow is, well, just a good secret agent. I could have given them a fighting type, or I could have given them some other typing, but normal just made the most sense, and normal doesn't come anywhere close to any of the other Avengers, and I thought a double battling normal type gym leaders, I should say, was just actually quite interesting. For their teams, I put in Obstagoon. Obstagoon, I believe, would belong to Hawkeye. Why? Well, of course, in the very first Avengers film, he gets manipulated by Loki, and he goes sort of evil, and Obstagoon, I think, is awesome, and because it's got that dark element, that's kind of the dark side of the relationship, in a way, that I just think works quite nicely and is a little bit thematic, and of course, it has the normal typing to boot. The next Pokemon would be Beware. Who this would specifically belong to, I'm not entirely sure. Probably Hawkeye, but I don't really know. A normal fighting type bear, I honestly don't know much about the Pokemon, but it just seemed like a lot of sense to include him. Next up, one for Black Widow now. Braviary. Of course, it's an elegant, brave, normal type bird. Why give this to Black Widow? Well, we saw in the very final film how brave she was. I'm not going to spoil it, even though the film's been out quite a long time now. Anyway, she's brave, it's called Braviary, it's a normal type, it's a cool Pokemon, and it's also really good, and I think is a valid member of this team. Next up, potentially a third one for Hawkeye. Stoutland, a big, noble, normal type dog. There are so many normal types to choose from in these games, it gets hard to choose. However, Stoutland stands out as a prominent one for me. It's got great defenses, it's got great attack, and it just looks beastly. And as a normal person, who doesn't love a dog? I mean, I know some people aren't dog people, but I'd say the majority are, and a lot of people have dogs at home, so a Stoutland fits on this team beautifully. And finally, that leaves one more for Black Widow, and that is kind of in counter to a Stoutland, which is a Persian. As he has the noble dog, she has the elegant cat. It works quite well to her characteristics. She's very feline in movement. She has high agility, she can jump around and move around, just like a Persian would be able to. So again, fitting her characteristics and fitting the typing, I feel Persian was an easy choice, and honestly, Persian was the very first Pokemon that I added to this list. The Persian and the Stoutland would be the joint aces, if you were wondering. Up next, Black Panther. Black Panther, again, one of the cooler Avengers in my opinion. For me, again, I feel like it was an easy one to type. I gave him pure dark. Black Panther works most effectively at night, and a lot of the dark types, as we're especially going to see on this team, share a lot of characteristics that Black Panther has, and of course is modelled after. So considering that, let's move on to the team. First up is an Absol. Absol, it's a pure dark type, Panther-like creature? Okay, it's not really, but it's got 4 legs, and it looks like a dog or a cat or something, and it's got those ties to it. I don't know, it seemed to make sense to me. You don't see a lot of Absols used, especially not in a gym, and I just think it would be a cool addition. You could set up with Swords Dance, and it could hit pretty hard. It's definitely got potential. Next up, Umbreon. Now, Umbreon, I've got a lot of respect for recently. It can eat hits for days, and as biased as I am, choosing attacking-like Pokemon, as I think you could probably see across a lot of these teams, Umbreon is very much the opposite of that, and I think complements the team very well. Even if he gets hit by a super effective move, Umbreon is going to tank that. Following on from Umbreon is Weavile, an extremely fast dark type, with a nice ice typing as well, just to spice it up a bit. It's frail, but it hits hard, and I believe would move a lot like the Black Panther does. After Weavile, Houndoom. Again, it's a dog-like creature, cat-like creature, 4 legs, you kind of see where I'm going with this, and it has an interesting typing, fire, to potentially counter other things coming into this battle. I mean, maybe I'm biased, Houndoom is probably my second favourite Pokemon. Its design is really cool, and I love it to bits, and I would be remiss if I didn't create a dark-type team without a Houndoom on it. Which leaves his ace, who I gladly gave to Zoroark. It's a beast of a Pokemon with a crazy cool ability, Illusion, where it disguises itself as another Pokemon. Black Panther, using the camouflage of nighttime, I thought this fit in so well. It has slash-type moves to fit the claws, and again, it's kind of a wild beast. Zorwak, again, like a lot of these aces, it was the first name on the list for me when I was designing Black Panther's team. So those are the 5 members I've chosen for Black Panther. Remember, the 5 members for all of these teams. You can use the comment section to leave your input, or just tell me all of my decisions are naff and I should give it up. Next up, Captain America. Captain America was probably the hardest for me to decide. We've done fighting type, which is probably the most obvious. And I just couldn't really see another typing that connected with him well. So I went kind of off of his color. And something we don't really have yet. I gave Captain America the water typing. I don't know why, but I can just see it. I can see him standing next to a load of water Pokemon, and I think the team that I have selected, you'll kind of understand why. I'm not sure, there's just, even though he has no water powers, there is something about him that exudes water. He's very patriotic and brave, and there's something about water that just makes me feel that connects well with him. First up on the team, Dreadnought. A new addition from Sword and Shield, and we don't have a lot of Generation 8 Pokemon in these teams. However, I wanted to throw Dreadnought in. I don't know why, but it just worked for me. A water rock type, it's a decent typing as long as you don't come up against a grass type. It hits quite hard, and again, for all of these, I ask you to imagine Captain America actually stood next to this Pokemon. I think he would be, and I think they would work really well together. Next up, a pure water type, Milotic. Kind of an easy decision as soon as I landed on the fact he would be a water type trainer. Milotic is one of the better pure water types. The big water serpent can hit extremely hard, and its special defense, even its physical defense, is extremely good. Could I see one with Captain America? I absolutely could. Next up, Feraligatr. This was almost his ace for me, and it's kind of a tie. However, I think the other one that I made his ace makes a little bit more sense. So anyway, Feraligatr, a blue and red crocodile. I mean, they share the same colors. I had to give him a Feraligatr. And in fact, Feraligatr was the first name on the list. However, like I say, didn't quite make the ace. But again, imagine if Feraligatr stood next to Captain America. That is an image that I would love to see. Now, for his thematic Pokemon. And I haven't really said this regarding the most recent Avengers I've named, because this one is completely off the chains with the other Pokemon on this list. Aegislash. Now, what is a Ghost Steel type doing on this water-based team? Well, it has a shield, and I couldn't think of another Pokemon with a shield, and how are you going to make a Captain America-themed Pokemon team without a Pokemon with a shield? I mean, a shield is like his main thing. So yeah, Aegislash makes the team, and I think it's a cool addition. It would certainly spice things up for the opposing trainer coming into this battle. You bring in a load of Gas types, and then Aegislash comes in. It's going to eat those hits for days. Which leaves his ace, who I named as Poliwrath. We went basic, we went Gen 1, but it's a water fighting type. I said at the beginning, fighting type would be the most sensible other typing to give to Captain America, and that's the reason Poliwrath is his ace. It's a water type, it's physical, it's got little boxing gloves, and it loves to punch things, as does Captain America. They go hand in hand, and if you can't see that, well, I feel sorry for you. Maybe you feel there'd be another better decision, and to be honest, this is, in my opinion, the weakest team probably that I have tied to Captain America, so I can't wait to read your comments of what you would do for Captain America. And now, it's time for the final Avenger on this list. Remember, I only did 8 because I wanted to do 8 gym leaders, as that's how many you would encounter in one region. And of course, I left the leader till last, Iron Man. Iron Man was the reason that I made this list, because at first I thought, what if Iron Man was a gym leader? And what Pokemon would he have? And then that quickly became, what if the Avengers were gym leaders? So Iron Man, I gave as an electric steel type. Steel, very obvious, he's literally Iron Man, and I know it's steel, but there isn't an iron typing in the game, so what can you do? You work with what you've got. Electric typing, because Tony Stark, he's fantastic with technology and electrics. You could have given Iron Man a whole host of different typings, however, these ones by far made the most sense to me. And in fact, Iron Man himself could actually be a Pokemon. I mentioned earlier, when we were talking about Spider-Man, and I said Spider-Man had Sizzle, I kind of wanted Sizzle to be on Iron Man's team for the sake that he kind of looked like him. but then I opted not to. In fact, I opted for a different Pokemon that kind of looked like him that I wanted to include in some way, which is the first one I'm going to talk about, which is Bisharp. Now, it of course does not have the electric typing, but Bisharp, it kind of has a red and steel suit like you would imagine Iron Man to have. I don't necessarily think this is the best addition to the team, and sure, I'm sure some of you will leave different suggestions which I'll happily replace Bisharp with. And the thing is with Bisharp, that's not even his thematic Pokemon. I just thought it would be quite cool for a Bisharp to be on this team. The next Pokemon is a Togedemaru, an electric steel type. A slight disclaimer, I know nothing about Togedemaru. Nothing at all, to be honest with you. So I can't really say much about him other than it looks like a little round squirrel thing, which is kind of cute. And, yeah, sure, I could see Iron Man with one. I could see one running around Tony Stark's lab. But again, it works perfectly for the typing that I have given to Iron Man. The next addition to his team is Klinklang. Another easy one for me. In fact, these next three were the three ones I thought of and knew from the get-go that these had to be on the team. Klinklang is just a set of gears, doesn't have an electric typing but can learn electric moves, and it's pure steel. In terms of technology and construction, Klinklang makes a lot of sense, and I had to give this to an Iron Man themed team, just as much as I had to put Magnezone on a team. Magnezone is the first Pokemon I thought of, however, it's not his ace. Magnezone is, of course, another electric steel type, and it looks highly technological. You could definitely see these things flying around a Tony Stark lab, or even flying alongside Iron Man if he was going into a battle. They'd be flying alongside, they'd be connecting and doing, like, charge beams, connecting up. It would be a sight to see. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you, I wanted to give him 2 or 3 Magnezones, but I knew that that wouldn't be very interesting or creative, so I've left him with just the one. Now, finally, his ace. Now, his ace is the thematic Pokemon, and I love the idea of Iron Man having this Pokemon, and that is Porygon Z. There's just something about it. It's just an entity that can transform itself to different typings. It can shoot elemental beams. It can do all kinds of things. And I think it could do all kinds of things that an Iron Man would do. And honestly, it kind of looks like something that Tony Stark would be able to create. And that, for me, is why Porygon Z is the ace of this team and is the thematic Pokemon. And that is Iron Man's team of 5. Again, let me know what you think. Who would the 6th member be? And do I have any drastically wrong? Okay, so there were the 8 Avengers turned into gym leaders. What do you think? Me personally, I think probably Iron Man, apart from the Bisharp, and then Thor, SpiderMan are my favorites. In fact, AntMan as well. I think I did a decent job. There's a couple in there that I don't think are quite suitable, but I can't wait to read the comments and see what you guys put. If you really like the idea of the video and you want to see more of this type of thing, leave that in the comments too. Any suggestions for different movie characters, for if you want to see more Avengers, if you want the villains turned into gym leaders, let me know and I will make that a video too. I've had a lot of fun doing this, as it's a far cry from the usual Nuzlocke runs that I typically do on the channel. Speaking of which, if you haven't seen any of my Nuzlocke runs, be sure to go and check those out and try and catch me in a live stream sometime. We have a hell of a lot of fun over here together. On that note, I'm just going to leave you. Thank you for watching the video. Please like the video and subscribe if you do want to catch up with more content. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. TommyLew, TommyLew, na 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 na. TommyLew.